Alright, guys, I have an idea for what to talk about, and I said I would do another episode sometime this week, so I'm gonna. I'm not as sad about this Let's Play eventually ending now, because I have something planned after to replace this Let's Play after this one's over. So I'm actually kind of looking forward to seeing how that will go. And yeah, I apologize if you can't hear. I've talked about it before, but, I just don't want. But a lot of times when I have, like, the sound on, it drowns out my voice, so. I, like, have it on next to silent. Yeah, my mic is at a really weird place. Hopefully it doesn't fall over or some. Oh god. Oh boy. We're only a minute and a half in, and already these me's are being chaotic. Oh no. Seriously? I thought that would just give us resentment. I didn't think it'd cause an actual quarrel. Fuck. But yeah, I do have. Originally, I was going to do a rant about the whole dog situation, but he's not here again this week because, number one, my grandma has shingles. She's had shingles, so she has to be careful. And even though it's not contagious, she kind of just wants to lay low and just kind of chill out. Plus, she's been having, nerve problems with her eye again, so she's just been kind of taking it easy. Plus, yesterday was Memorial Day, and I don't know if. I know some businesses vary, but I don't even know if the hair salon she goes to in Abilene, I don't even know if it was open or not yesterday. So, yeah. But yeah, I think the shingles and the nerve eye pain might be the two main reasons. Because, I've been talking about it, almost all month, wondering when this was going to happen, because, a couple of weeks ago, my grandparents said they were going to Rio Dosa, which I might talk a little bit about that. And, and I don't understand because, we're planning on going this summer, so why are they going now? Why can't we just wait until the family vacation? Which, that's actually what the rant. Well, a little bit. That's kind of what the rant is going to be about. Kind of family vacations and just obligatory stuff like that. But mostly I'm going to be talking about vacations and why I've grown to not like them very much. Though New Mexico, Rio Dosa, New Mexico, I live pretty out west of Texas, and New Mexico is the second state to the west. So it's not very long, but oh wow. Yeah, I'm mostly going to be talking about major vacations. Although vacations in general kind of stress me out. But yeah, the point is, I don't understand why they have plans to go when we're just going to be going together. It's best for them to just wait. I think they should take it easy on vacations until their dog passes away, to be honest. I'm not trying to sound cruel when I say that, but it'll just be it'll just be better because that way they don't have to stress me out. They don't have to stress the dog out. But yeah, I'll talk more about that. When he has to come over again. Blech. Why? Why? Don't be like Eva. Oh my god. You were out here too. Yep, Ashton. And great. My stupid freaking HP didn't even restore. Why? 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 But yeah. Green Ethan, I know you and your family take vacations quite a bit. And I don't know, and I don't know if I know you kind of grown to like them, I probably, but, and then Purple Ethan, he likes taking vacations, but me and Ashton, we're kind of in the same boat when it comes to taking vacations. Hell, like, he's like, even in the past, he was a lot like me. I used to love going on vacations, and even Ashton used to love going on vacations, but now I don't know, we've just kind of grown out of it, I guess. I don't know the right word, but we've lost interest in them, to be honest. Like, I think that's the word, the phrase I was looking for. We've kind of just lost interest. Now, don't get me wrong. Vacations can be fun. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of miss, well, I say kind of, because I didn't get to do much. Because I couldn't swim because of something I'd rather not get into. But I still have some highlights of it, I roll, when we first got there, the first day, and it was like evening, I rode on the golf cart with my cousins, and, that was a blast. And, we went out to eat at some restaurants. I went to the store and got some sundresses because my dad forgot to help me pack the ones I had here, so we had to go to, like, a gift shop and buy some more sundresses for the trip. So yeah, like, I'll admit, there are some things that I miss. Plus, but other than that, it was rather uneventful. I watched SpongeBob like the entire time I was over there, which is awesome. I freaking love SpongeBob, but sometimes we don't really do very much during vacations. We spend a lot of time just like in the hotel or in the RV, wherever we are. My dad, I don't know, he's just very, I don't want to say lazy, but I don't know. He's just not very active, like, during vacations, and I think that Neither was my mom, and I think that's one of the reasons why I've never really liked them. Because we never really did a whole bunch on vacations. We've never really. We spend most of the time just chilling in the hotel, and which is boring. If I'm going on vacations, I want to actually do shit. Not just sit around in the hotel or the RV or whatever and not get any privacy. If I want to sit down and and chill out, just stay then we might as well just stay home. I mean, yeah, I get it. I'm a very laid back person myself. But if I go on vacations, I want to actually do stuff, you know what I mean? Otherwise, it's like I said, it's better to just stay home. Plus, it's easy for me and my family. I love my parents, and I mean, yeah, my brother and my family in general, but like, me and my family, we're at each other's throats a lot. Not so much my brother with our parents, but just me and my parents, and then me with my brother. I don't know. I'm. I just. That's another thing too. Is I feel like I'm the black sheep of my family. They don't really get me as much as my parents and my brother get one another. And it has caused some conflict, particularly during vacations. Plus, it's hard to sleep. I want to. That's the main thing I do not like about vacations. Or at least one of the main things is it's hard to sleep in unfamiliar environments, especially if you have to share a room with someone. I just don't. I just don't do too well with that. Okay, yeah. I I attempted to try to pick up Jace from the Arid Frontier, only to realize that I haven't defeated or saved the King's face yet. We have to do that first, and then we can go and pick up Jace from Arid Frontier. But on the bright side, I've already gone through all the levels, so at least we don't have to do that now. But yeah, I was just very stressed out when I was recording that episode. I was talking about how my dad was all of a sudden was having these unrealistic expectations of me to win a Pulitzer Prize. You know, that shit, and it was just kind of fucking with my brain a little bit. But now we're finally defeating him, and then hopefully we'll probably pick up the nearby prince and defeat the Minotaur. Not too long after this. But yeah, that's... Oh, okay. That was an accident. I didn't mean to do that. I don't know why it did that. I thought I selected basic attack. Huh. Odd. But yeah. I hate sleeping with family. I'm sorry, but I've always done horrible with it, and then my dad wonders why I don't sleep very well. Not that, I mean, I've never really, like, it's hard for me to explain stuff to him, because I feel like he's just gonna make excuses to invalidate my points, so I know some of you guys are probably being like, well, why don't you just talk to him about it? Maybe he'll understand. Yeah, I'm sorry, but we're too different, so, and I have tried explaining myself to him before, but it just doesn't work out. Oh, nice. Okay, I feel like Anton is our strongest attacker. Our other teammates so far were more catered towards magic attacks, so he's gonna get the golem stake, I think it's called. Okay, please. I'm sick of these corals. But yeah, that, and then like, packing and unpacking, that's a pain in the ass for me. And sometimes I need help with stuff, and my dad knows it too, and like, he understands that, like, there's certain stuff I need help with, like packing, but the thing is, I can't always catch a minute to remind him because he himself is busy, like, packing and stuff, so. It makes it a pain. And that's kind of what happened, back in 2023 when I went to South Padre Island. And that's why I had to get new dresses. I mean, in itself, I'm not complaining. I think it's awesome that I was able to get new dresses, but it is kind of unfortunate how it had to happen, because I was not intending for it to happen. And then, like, I realized a little bit. I don't know if it was even the day we got there, but I think I remember it being the morning after. The morning after, I realized I forgot to me and he forgot, or I forgot to talk to I don't even know if I forgot. It was just like, it's hard to remind him because, he's busy doing stuff too, and then, like, I couldn't just catch a minute to remind him and be like, hey, please help me hang my dresses up or something in the car, but yeah, that's definitely a factor. Forgetting shit. And then I remember when I went to Houston back in 2022, I forgot to pack my mouse. It's like, we're all in a rush too, because we have to. My dad wants to get on the road at a certain time so we can make a good time and. Ooh, righteous anger. All right. Noise, noise, noise. Now, we're not going to get all the medals on here. Like, it'll just be too tedious of a Let's Play. So, what I do is I just go through the story and the post-game stuff. Alright. But yeah. And it's even worse if it's like a major vacation. And what I mean by that is it takes like a day or two just to get to your destination, and then a day or two to come back. Like, ugh. Fuck that noise. And then I remember, like, this was shortly after I graduated from high school. Like, I think it was in August 2016. I graduated in June 2016. And then, like, you know, this was a couple of months later. But I overheard my dad, like, talk to my mom about wanting, like, they have friends over in Virginia. Yeah, it's pretty far away from Texas. And my dad was talking about how he wanted to go and visit them. Which, in itself, it seems fair enough, wanting to catch up with old friends. But he was planning on making this like a family vacation. And I actually spent a while worrying about it. I was worried about it when they first mentioned it, but I was actually able to bury it in the back of my head for a while until it got brought up again until in 2017. Like, I think it was February 2017. I heard my dad talk about it once again. This time, I think it was to my brother. My dad was talking about how he wanted to go out and visit them, that summer, which would be summer 2017. And then I talked to my mom about it. I think I talked to her about it in like March or April of 2017. And at first, she was understanding. But then, like, a month or two later, I think it was in May 2017, one morning I overheard my dad and my mom have an argument. At first, I wasn't really sure what it was about. I just heard something about my dad cooking breakfast for me in the RV or something like that. And that's all I remember hearing. So I was kind of confused. I was like, huh, breakfast in the RV. That's interesting. And then when my dad leaves for work that morning, my mom and I get into this big fight. I don't remember what happened exactly. I don't know if I just went into my mom's room or if she saw me and then she called me. Like, I don't really remember exactly what happened, but she was telling me about said argument. She was telling me about how she was telling my dad that I didn't want to go out to Virginia to see their friends. And then, of course, I was getting stressed out because I knew it was coming. And then I knew I was like, because I was preparing for it, yet when it finally came, I was like, oh God. And then I started panicking, and then my mom was like, no, because I knew my dad wouldn't be understanding. I'm gonna get into it in a bit, but I'll get into that, delve more into that, but I've never talked to my dad about it, my mom just decided to talk to him because I was worried about him not being understanding, and it turns out I was right, because that's what the argument was about. He was, well, I don't even know if it was an argument now. It just sounded like one at first, but my mom was like, after I was like, oh God, she was like, no, just listen to me. And then she was talking about, and then I guess my dad told her, families should do stuff together. Which I, to some extent, agree with that. It's important for families to do stuff together, but it's also important for families to respect their children. Well, not just children, but other family members in general. You have to respect people's boundaries. And then, my mom starts acting really insensitive, and then I try to back myself up. I try to argue my side of the argument, but she just gets mad and starts yelling at me. And I was even crying. I don't even like to cry. If I get into an argument with my parents and then I start crying, I just try to hold it in, because I don't like crying in front of people. But yeah, that's pretty much what but yeah, she starts making all these insensitive remarks and stuff. Your dad had a good point. Families should have to do stuff together. My dad was basically manipulating her. At first, because like I said, at first she was actually understanding, but then my dad manipulates her to be insensitive to the situation. Sorry, I'm laughing at the little kid. He was just crying. But it was nice of Sunny to help. I'm not going to bother using righteous anger for simple bosses, because it just wastes MP if it doesn't work. So it's just better to attack them normally. if it's just something simple. And then, like, for more of a more major enemy, then it makes more sense to take your chances with righteous anger. Like, for example, the replica Dark Lord over in the Galados Isle, that's an example. And then the Red Fiends and the Tower of Despair, that's another example. But for just simple, weak ass goblins, it's better to just defeat them normally. At least in my humble opinion. But yeah, that morning was a freaking disaster. Let me tell you. But yeah, I remember her being like, I told your dad about how you didn't want to go out to Virginia. And he made a good point about how families should have to do stuff together. And then she was like, as long as you live under this roof, you will do what we say, or you will do what I do. I can't remember exactly what she said that day, that morning, whatever, but I do remember her using the "as long as you live under this roof" argument, and then I remember her saying, even 10-year-olds understand that families should have to do stuff together. I don't remember all what she said exactly, but I remember those main things being said. And I kind of see where my dad is coming from. I do. Like, it's important to do stuff with your family. I get that. But it's also important to respect your family's boundaries. If they don't want to go half-ass across the country, if they think it's going to stress them out and make them feel very uncomfortable, then you shouldn't drag them on such... You shouldn't drag them such a distance away from home. You know what I mean? Like, that's just insensitive. Plus, I was an adult. You know what I should be able to make my own decisions. If there's a vacation that I don't want to go to, I shouldn't have to go. And the thing is, it was just them going out to seeing old friends. I mean, they're good people, don't get me wrong, but it's not like they were going out to see it. It's not like they were going out to see family, you know what I mean? So I don't understand why my dad made such a big deal about it. Fine. I can't believe we have to support this shit for a bit. Screw that! The princess deserves to be with Sunny. Oh well, the good news is we're finally gonna pick up Jace. But yeah, and then I find as long as you live under this roof, I find that argument to be very, very insensitive, because it basically suggests that as long as you have a child living with you, you don't care about you don't care about their feelings. That's such a toxic excuse to have. Now, I can understand using it I don't know, if you're trying to protect your child for something. Like, let's say they want to do something. Like, I don't know, they want to meet up with someone that they don't know very well, or that's like a lot like older than them, like, you know, or they want to go out and like, I don't know, to a nightclub despite being underage. Like, I kind of understand using it like as another way of saying, look, as your parent, it's my job to protect you, but not as an excuse to force people to do stuff way out of their comfort zone against their will. Like, that is just insensitive as all fucking hell. Alright, fun fact, I think Green Ethan pointed this out in his Let's Play, but I think this is the only part of the game where they walk left instead of the usual right. Oh, okay, not the Minotaur. I said Minotaur, didn't I? I'm thinking of next door. I meant the Griffin. Okay, and it's a boss, unfortunately, so we can't use Righteous Anger. You can tell if an enemy is a boss if they have, like, the longer health bar, but if they have, like, the shorter one, you can tell that it isn't a boss. But yeah, in case any of you haven't noticed, like, you know, that's how you distinguish bosses and regular enemies, is by the health bar sizes. But yeah, I was never a big fan of that excuse. If you're using it, like I said, if it's like you're using it in a way that suggests, look, as your parent, I'm just trying to protect you, you know, that's different. But if you're using it as a way to basically tell them, yeah, I don't give a shit, you're doing this whether you like it or not, like, it's just insensitive as hell. Like, come on, guys. Come on now. And then my mom also brought up the excuse, oh, even 10-year-olds understand that families should have to do blah, 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 do stuff together. Yeah, and 27-year-olds are more understanding. You know, that's just it. You know, 10-year-olds are very impressionable. You know, a lot of the times they just, you know, replicate, like, their parents' beliefs. If they have parents that believe in having to do things together regardless of situation, then yeah, no fucking shit, they're probably gonna believe that too. But I'm older now, you know, I'm not always gonna agree with my parents' beliefs, you know, because I actually understand that some things may be out of a person's comfort zone, and I think parents should be more sensitive to that situation. Alright, so I'm gonna have her heal me. You know, oh yeah, speaking of, I just remembered, Green Ethan was able to install some more mods for this game. I might also install those mods if I can get them to. Work. He actually installed the No Sickness mod. I don't know if I've mentioned about it, but maybe he did something that I missed, and hopefully I can finally get it, so I don't have to deal with sickness anymore. Because, oh my god, it fucking sucks. It's annoying. Alright, defeated the Minotaur that I mentioned. Or not the Griffin! The Griffin that I mentioned in the last episode. Oh, shut up, Jace. You barely lifted a finger. Barely. You didn't lift a finger. No. Ugh. But yeah, again, I do understand like wanting to do stuff with family, and wanting to have like family time and stuff. That is important. I'm not just saying people should flat out not spend any time with their families. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is families should learn to respect, especially when it comes to parents. Parents need to learn to respect their children's boundaries. You know what I mean? If something is like way out of their comfort zone and they feel uncomfortable doing it, then they should respect that and try to work something out. Especially if they are an adult, because they can just stay home and take care of themselves. While their parents go on vacation. Now, if they're a child, there might have to be some other alternatives to look into. Because I might be on the spectrum, but I can stay home for, short-term periods of time alone. Now, long-term, living on my own, that it's going to take some time for me to get to that point. But if it's just during, a vacation or something, then I can do that. Plus, I like to think I've grown some since 2017. I've learned to cook some more on my own. I've learned to do some stuff. And what my dad used, even without my grandparents, it's nice having them check on me and, bringing me fast food. Aw. It's very considerate of them. But even, without that, I can cook, ramen noodles. I can make eggs. There's certain stuff I can do on my own. And as long as I'm careful and then, I'm able to cook some stuff on my own, then I should be able and allowed to stay home for a few days while my parents or my dad and my brother or whatever go on a vacation. Luckily, that never happened, the Virginia vacation. But, my mom and my dad, have been separated since 2019. That was in 2017. Luckily, it never, like I said, it never happened. We actually had 3 vacations planned that summer. That's too much in a little bit of time. I only like to go on a few vacations. Maybe one or 2 vacations at most, per year. Not 3 in just a season or in a few months span. We were planning on going to Virginia. We were planning on going to the Guadalupe River, and then we were planning on going to Marble Falls. The only one we ended up doing was the Marble Falls one. And I gotta admit, I had fun that year. We also went in 2016 and in 2018, but it was kind of mid those 2 years. I mainly enjoyed the one in 2017. And then in 2020, my dad started to bring up California, and then he's been talking about it on and off for like a few years. First, my dad was like saying, planning on forcing me to go, and then he was being understanding. Like, he keeps switching back and forth about forcing me to go or not. Last time he talked about going to California was in 2028 for the Olympics. Thankfully, my dad was like understanding. But yeah, that's another factor. They can just check on me too. Like my dad can check on me, or like, you know, like if we're talking like the pre-separation time, my mom can check on me. Like, they can just check on me and then I can answer. You know, I try to leave my phone on during vacations, that way, because, you know, I do tend to turn it off when I'm sleep. Well, not off, but silent when I'm sleeping most of the time. So I don't get woken up by random text messages or calls. But, like, there are exceptions. Like, if it's like the night before I have an appointment, or if my dad and my brother are like out of town, then I'll leave it on. That way I can know if they text me, and then, you know, because they want to, of course, they want to check on me and make sure I'm doing okay, and I want to be prompt when answering them. That way they don't have a reason to worry about me, you know what I mean? So that's another factor they can just do. Oh God. But yeah, hopefully the California one, if that one happens, hopefully my dad doesn't force me to go. And then even my brother too, he has invalidated my stress about long vacations before. And now I don't mind going on certain ones. For example, what I mentioned earlier on in this video, I don't mind going to like New Mexico with my grandparents on my dad's side, because we are planning on doing that this summer. We were gonna do it last summer, but like there was just so much stuff that got in the way. My dad's bad hip, the wildfires, and I think my cousins in Abilene got busy. So we ended up just not going last year, but we're probably gonna go this summer. We'll see. And then going out to Houston to see my grandparents on my mom's side, and then also seeing my mom. You know, it's actually something I actually love doing. I love going out to Houston and seeing my oh, my voice is getting tired. And seeing my grandparents on my mom's side. You know, I've had a lot of good memories, and I want to make more memories. And then going out to Corpus to seeing my mom. You know, I don't mind basic, casual vacations like that. But going out to California or out to Virginia, count me the fuck out, please. But yeah, I do stress about this a lot. I stress about being forced to go on vacations. I know some of you may be confused, like, well, Shauna, you love staying home alone. You should be excited about your dad planning vacations. Yeah, you have a point there, but I'm worried about being forced to go on these vacations. So what's the point in looking forward to having the house to myself if my dad plans to drag me along against, despite it being against my will, you know what I mean? But yeah. I just want to be where I am comfortable, I don't want to have to worry about long ass vacations. Like, it might be a narrow divergent thing, but, I just feel stressed out when I'm out of my comfort zone. And I guess my parents just don't really get that about me. Again, I would try to explain myself to my dad, but he's set in his ways, okay? Like, he's set in his ways, and like, we clashed on a lot of things, so unfortunately I don't think it would do any good. I keep forgetting to feed this to him. Okay, thank you for not fucking up. You're the main teammate with the permanent job in this quad squad. You need the equipment more than anyone else. Because I'm a main teammate too, but my main job's a princess, so yeah. Alright, I'll probably end this off after we get the common fruit. But first I wanted to go to the secret treasure chest, as I like to call it. So we're doing that, and then we'll go back and, do the common fruit part. And yeah, my dad, he's very family oriented, which for the most part is a good thing. But I feel like some people who are family oriented have harmful beliefs and expectations when it comes to their families. Like expecting someone to, or forcing someone on a road trip despite it being against their will and way out of their comfort zone, that's not cool. There are more casual ways to spend time with family. Because, like I said, it is valid to want to spend time with family, but I think more families, particularly parents, should make more of an effort to find stuff that everyone can enjoy. You know what I mean? Oh my god, not again. You guys just got out of a quarrel. Ooh. Thank you, Anton. at least the Anton in Miitopia Anton is better than the actual canonical criminal case one. Ooh, explosion. When did I learn explosion? Huh. Hopefully it was just recently, otherwise I'll feel very stupid for relying on fire and lightning. But yeah. You know, if I ever followed through with my parental guidance book, I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about how it's good to be family oriented, but people should be careful about, like, you know, their beliefs and their expectations and, you know, stuff like that. But yeah, I can't wait till I get my own place later on down the road. I no longer have to worry, or at least not as much. I shouldn't have to worry about this shit as much. Especially when parents use the "as long as you live under this roof" excuse. Like, that's just gonna make your kids want to move out and not have anything, and maybe even not have anything to do with you. But yeah, if I ever do get to a point where I'm able to get my own place, hopefully. Ooh, yes, Taru. She needs the weapons more than. Well, not, well, weapons and clothes. She needs the equipment more than anyone. But yeah. Hopefully I can, once I'm able to live on my own, independent enough. What do you want with him now? You're becoming obsessed with him like Eva was. So I heard something about Ashton recently. Oh God. Why is it sad? What's sad? Be a good mom, like I'm a good mom to the real life Ashton. Huh. But yeah, and now when I get to a point where I can live on my own, don't worry, I don't plan to just cut off my family. I just kind of want to distance myself from them a bit, because you know we love each other, and you know they're for the most part well-meaning, but it's just really hard for me to see eye to eye with my family. You know what I mean? I mean, I'll still get with them on a regular basis for casual stuff like meals, you know, good stuff like that. But I'm definitely going to be cautious about what I do and what I don't do. Alright, I'm about to end this off. I'll probably get the common fruit and then we can go back to the castle in the next episode. Okay, don't go. We already went, so we don't want to make the mistake and go to go again. But yeah, that will be a good topic for my book, talking about family orientedness, talking about how it's important to respect your children's boundaries, find some middle ground. That's the key to life. Find a balance, find a middle ground, find a compromise. If your child is not if you want to go on a vacation, but your child is uncomfortable with going on a vacation that's too far from home, then find a vacation that's closer to home. You know what I mean? Because I don't want, even though vacations, I have mixed feelings on them. I can tolerate ones that are just a couple hours away. I just want to avoid, really, really, really far away ones. Those are the ones I really want to avoid. But if it's just a couple of hours, even going to South Padre Island, even that was fine. It took us 12 hours to get there, but it wasn't really that big of a deal. Plus, like I said, with all due respect, my parents, they make me lose brain cells during vacations. Even my dad made me do that. He had my brother go into a store for no reason. I shit you not. With all this being said, I may try going on a vacation alone one of these days, or on a vacation with a friend. I wouldn't mind doing that. Especially the latter. Being able to travel with someone who's a lot more like-minded, a lot more laid back, a lot more willing to actually do stuff and have fun. I wouldn't mind doing that, or even like I said, going on a vacation alone. That's something else I don't mind, but like I said, as much as I love my parents, they're just not the funnest people to vacation with. And sometimes they get on your ass about stuff. I remember back in 2018, I tried to go out of the RV to go to the bathrooms, because the one in the RV is really claustrophobic. It's really uncomfortable. And this was in the daytime too. My mom got really mad at me, and then for trying to go out and use the ones in the RV. But she got mad at me because my dad was sleeping, and I was holding back tears. That was fucking awful. Ugh, that was awful. Okay, one more area. And yeah, now we're in 5 minutes, so we're making good timing, because I tried to keep things a little over an hour at most. So after we get the common fruit, I'll wait until next episode to take it to the castle. No, go to explosion. But yeah, my mom needs to understand that the RV can be uncomfortable. But whatever. But yeah, that is a factor. Your parents getting on your ass for stupid stuff. But yeah, I'm a simple person. I prefer just day trips. I prefer, I just want to chill out, work on my books, listen to awesome music, watch TV. Sorry. Watch TV. And stick to like day trips. Oh yeah, and and not just my books, but also my fun Wattpad and archive of our own fan fiction, I just want to be where I am comfortable, I want to work on my writing projects, including fan fiction and my books. I want to sleep in the comfort of my own home, my own bed, my own room, alone. I want to watch TV. I want to listen to awesome music. I want to just chill out. Now, one thing I do like about vacations, I will say, is eating out. Like, I love to eat out. However, I tend to have a very shitty appetite during vacations. Like, I had a very shitty appetite during my South Padre / Corpus Christi vacation. Especially when in the Corpus Christi one. Ugh, I was just feeling stressed as hell. So, it kind of defeated the purpose. I don't know why, but maybe it's the stress with being out of my comfort zone. Sometimes stress can, affect your appetite. I don't know if the path matters. I just choose the first path. And then I come back and do the second one. Alright, the common fruit. And then in the next episode, we will take it to the castle. But yeah. And yeah, vacations can be fun. I have some good memories of them, but a lot of the times they can just be stressful. And then like the Corpus Christi one was kind of miserable, to be honest. Like, so it depends on certain factors. It really does. That's actually it for now. I'm gonna end off this episode. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed my discussion. It felt nice to get that all out. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.